Hello, this is H.G. Bailey, and welcome back to Let's Play SimCity! It's time for the main event, to finally build a full city on a regular map with all the gameplay mechanics at my disposal. Gifts, fire departments, even schools and hospitals are going to play a pivotal role in the development of this city. So the first thing we need to do is select from one of 2,000 maps. And just like everyone else, I am going to be selecting map number 61 because it has the most land for us to be able to develop there. If you want to know how to access the other or alternate 1,000 maps, I went over that in one of the preview episodes I made there, so you can do that. But for this is all that I really need. Hey, we got a QWERTY keyboard to name our city, but I think I'll go with something a little different from that. And for this city, I will be playing on medium difficulty, which is not nearly as unforgiving as hard difficulty, but it's still much more difficult than easy because, well, you start with less money. Disasters happen more frequently than on easy difficulty. The tax rate doesn't generate as much income as on easier difficulties. And the RCI, or demand gauge up there, is much more sensitive to increases in taxes. So like 7% on easy difficulty would be more like 5 or maybe 6% of the tax rate there. So I can't get up to 9% in this difficulty. Now I want to start by building a power plant in the corner over here, because they're not considered valid destinations for residential zones. Only coal power plants are, oddly enough. But also because the land value is pretty terrible over here, and nuclear power plants don't care about land value. Not to mention, if any one of them decides to melt down, most of it will end up spilling over into the neighboring city, and I won't have to clean it up. Okay, so let's see, let me get that lined up again. Okay, right there. That's where I want to build my first police department and start building the city. I'm going to be building most of the city in the northwest quadrant of the city to start with. And that's because, let's take a look here. Yeah, most of the water is in the southeast quadrant of the city. So the center of the city, once everything's fully developed, isn't going to be at the center of the map, like in the Freedom City. It's going to be a little bit to the northwest there, because the center of the city is calculated by the average of all the zones in the city there. So I'm going to take advantage of that as much as I can in the early goings here. Now, to start, I'm going to be building 10 residential zones. And the reason for that is because, well, you look at my money supply, I am not going to have nearly enough money to build a stadium right at the start here. And with all of these residential zones, I'm going to be developing all of them into R-tops. So that's a level 6 residential zone. Times 10, you get 60 residential levels. So that's about as high as I can get before hitting the zone level check requirement for the stadium of 62.5 residential levels. So I don't want to build any more residential zones than that, because then residential demand would crash without my being able to build a stadium there. And then with industrial zones here, I'm not as worried about putting them near my commercial or residential zones, because, well, these ones are all going to have gifts to help them out. Gifts will massively increase the land value to compensate for some of the pollution of the industrial zones, but it does not make them immune to pollution. If you've got enough industrial zones next to a commercial zone in a concentrated amount of pollution, it will overpower the gift. So you want to be careful with that. Now, with the industrial zones, I don't want to connect them to the rest of the city, even though eventually I will. I have a rule where, like, I want every tile of transit connected to every other tile, which I will do eventually, but not at the start, because over here is where I'm going to be building quite a few C-tops, and the rails could get in the way of that. So you want to watch out for that. Okay, I'm going to leave a gap at the bottom here to put more residential zones later. And the way I've got the rail set up is so that I have a valid destination of commercial zones at the end of each of them and a police department in the middle. So, yeah, we won't have to worry about residential zones finding a valid destination. While we're at it, let's get everything powered up here. Yeah, it costs a bit more money to put them so far away, but it's totally worth it. Okay, then let's get everything hooked up here. Oh, actually, yeah. Not that it really matters, but... Okay, so let's see. For this commercial zone, I am not going to have gifts to help this one out. So what I want to do is fill in the 4x4 region right here with as many parks as I can. I could build around it, like with the rails here, but then I'd eventually demolish those and place more rails here, so I can do this without doing that. I also want to put some parks in the neighboring 4x4 region. That'll boost land value enough to become a high-class commercial zone. But also, I'm going to put another commercial zone here later to form a C-top. Eventually, that is. Okay, so we got all that. Let's get taxes set up. So let's see, I'm going to start at a tax rate of 7%, even though that's pretty high here, because at the start of developing a city, you're almost guaranteed to get some amount of population. But that said, I still want to reduce funding to both police and fire departments. I don't want to go below 71%. People will start complaining about that eventually. Because, well, yeah, you see, with taxes, we're not going to have as much revenue as on easy difficulty. So I'm going to need to pinch my pennies as much as I can. What does it even mean, pinching pennies? I mean, I know what it means, but I mean, you don't literally do that. But, okay, so I could build a fire department, and I do want to eventually, but I'm going to wait to do that until next year. Because I don't want to have to pay the $71 to fund it next year. So we'll just save the money for now. I want to make sure I have at least $100 so that way I can build my first gift when we get that. So the way that I've arranged the city here is I'm using a column build, but I'm also kind of using a donut build in a way too. And the way that I've designed it is to put a gift in the middle so it'll increase, or massively increase, the land value of all the 8 zones surrounding it. The problem with doing that in a column build, though, is that if I only had the one donut, I would have 3 on this side, 5 on this side, and they wouldn't touch each other, so I could only build like 3 R-tops out of that. But by putting 2 donuts chain linked together like this, they can combine these 2 and these 2 zones, and that'll enable me to get 4 tops per gift instead of 3. But alright, so we became a town, got a house. I want to build that down here because residential zones are much more annoying to fix if they merge improperly. Not to mention the commercial zones will not have that problem, or at least not nearly to the extent as residential zones do. But I do want to keep an eye on everything here. So yeah, you see population's growing despite the high tax rate. I mean, I don't want to go insane, like 10% or anything. But people are going to be moving in. Zone demand is going to go all over the place due to RNG. One thing I recently learned about the Mayor's House gift is that when you first build it, the first 3 tiles up here and this one, I think, don't apply the land value bonus of the gift there, like everything else does. But once you become a city and it upgrades, then it'll properly handle that. But as you can see here, that's not really hurting me that much. Although in hard mode, that's why I was having so much difficulty getting the house to boost the land value everywhere. Okay, so my next goal is to get up to 10,000 people so that I can get the next gift. So in order to facilitate that, I want to reduce taxes to 3%. Just to get it up there, because I have a tendency to notice that population kind of plateaus once you get over 9,000! Seriously though, I mean, it does plateau there. So I'm going to build a fire department now over here. That also serves as a valid destination. I want to have that over here because with the 2 gifts, those are irreplaceable. So if any disasters strikes my city, I want to make sure that I can put out the fires as reasonably quickly as I can. Okay, so we lowered taxes. We got the fire department going. So let's get up to 10,000 people. Make sure you have less than $2,000, and that will unlock the second gift. I hope it unlocks before this commercial zone gets up to level 5. Probably will, though. But, alright! Now, you want to be careful here, because in order to get the gift for becoming a city and having under $2,000, you need to still have 10,000 people in your city. So if you just started to raise taxes, like right now, you could lose that population and delay earning the second gift, the bank. I'm not going to be using it for the loan, but I suppose you could if you wanted, but I only really want it for the land value boost. Okay, so yeah, now I want to increase taxes back up to 5% there. That's more like 7% in easy difficulty, I think. I don't know precisely how taxes are different between difficulties. If you know, let me know. But I only hear like, okay, well, yeah, this tax rate on easy is the equivalent of this tax rate on medium, but like I've heard varying amounts, like 7% on medium is more like 8%, or some sources say 9% on easy or whatever, but yeah, I don't know precisely. But the best I think I could ever do is 7% and still maintain my zone demand. Okay, so now I need to wait for the land value of the bank to kick in to make all of my commercial zones into high class zones. Okay, we got a problem here now with the residential zone. You see, the R4 upper, that's a level 5 residential zone, and that's as high as that one is going to go. It will not upgrade into a high class zone unless it regresses a level, because it can't gain any more levels in the upper class. So what I want to do is, I'm just thinking if I should wait a little bit. Yeah, why don't we wait just a little bit before doing something about that? Okay, let's just wait for the land value to kick in up top there. Any day now. Okay, there we go. The land value kicked in. You see how these upper commercial zones, now they upgraded to the high class because they leveled up, and we got the land value kicking in there. So now, let me pause for a little bit. So the problem now is that how do we deal with this residential zone to make it into a high class? You could demolish it and rebuild it, but that would cost more. Okay, so the problem is that if I remove all 3 of these rails, that will regress the R top by a level immediately, but that costs quite a bit to do so given my current funds. So what I want to do is remove just this one rail and let things go from there. So the way residential zones search for valid destinations is, well, first they have to find a tile of transit. They start up above the upper left tile of the zone, and then they search around clockwise until they find one. The corners don't count, so this residential zone will start over here, and then it'll choose a random direction to go up or down to look for a valid destination within 30 tiles. If it hits a dead end, it stops, it fails, and then regresses a level there. So you want to keep them connected to valid destinations under normal circumstances, but here I want to intentionally cause it to happen so that way it'll regress a level, then upgrade to the high class thanks to the gift that we have there now. And I can also use this to cause or to undo improper R tops or C tops as necessary. But we'll see. Okay, you see how it lost a level there, but now it's in the high class, so that means it could take part in merging to form an R top. Hopefully these two will merge together. That would really help me out a lot. That would make forming all these. Yes! Okay. Yeah, that'll make life a lot easier. You know what? Let me see how the industrial zones are doing over here. Okay, so eventually I do want to increase taxes a bit more, but I think I'll wait until next month or maybe next year. We'll see how things go. Now, the problem that I see coming up here is that I have this residential zone that could merge with one to the right or below it. And if that happens, the game will prioritize merging with the one on the right over the one below it. But, unfortunately, I can't do the same trick here by eliminating one rail, because it'll still have valid destinations to choose from, up or down, in this particular case. So, why don't we just leave that alone for a moment, but keep an eye on it. Okay, how are we looking now? Okay, yeah, I'll just wait until the next budget. Okay, we can do it now. That should be good enough. I'm only interested in the industrial zones just because I want to make sure that things are reasonably well developed before increasing the tax rate there. Okay, so we got a little more money, but, well, let's see how things are going. Yeah, crime is pretty bad around here because I don't have a lot of police departments yet, and I just don't have the money to deal with it. The gifts can compensate for that to some extent, but yeah, you see, it's getting, well, we got a C-top, alright. Yeah, it's getting pretty dangerous out there, so eventually I will develop, what is it? I mean, I will build more police departments, but I need more money to do that. And these are all the zones that I'm going to be building for now. Oh, if these two merge together right now, that would be really, really helpful. Damn it! Okay, so now I think I can't get this vertical one unless I stop this one. So the only way I can stop it is by deleting all three rails here. Although, if these two merge first, that might work out. So, I'm gonna bank on the... Yeah, there we go! Woohoo! Alright. If I had to, though, I could have deleted these three tiles to cause this residential zone to regress. Or, if they merged horizontally, then I would have to delete this tile. And then the way tops search for a valid destination, or R tops, they only use the residential zone that is up top or to the left of the other one. So just basically treat it like this zone is completely separate, and just look around here, find your starting point, and then delete one in a direction where you can make a dead end, so you can undo that R-top there. Okay, so let's see how zone demand is doing. Okay, we're doing pretty good. If residential demand was a bit low, then I might reduce taxes to 5%, but I think we're doing okay right now. So I'll just leave that alone there. That's also partially why I was concerned about industrial zone demand, or their levels, because I want to make sure that's staying somewhat balanced with the other zone types. Looks like we got a C5 high ready to go for another C-top eventually. But I'm not in a rush to get that done. So right now, I want to wait for industrial demand to get back up to the max. And for all of my zones to finish developing. So that before raising taxes up to 7%, and this should perfectly balance all the zone types and their levels. Although if industrials decide to develop very quickly, that could be a problem. I've maxed out my commercial zone levels from what I've got, so I gotta wait for the R-tops to finish developing. Eventually, I do plan to put another R-top over here, but I didn't want to do that now because that would trigger, or that would get me enough residential levels to trigger the zone level check for the stadium that I cannot build right now. I don't have the money. Okay, so at this point, I'm still going to wait a little bit for zone demand to recover, which it should, and then once everything's at the max, increase taxes to 7%. But yeah, another reason why I don't want to put an R-top here right now is because I'm going to put a C-top over here eventually, or maybe it was vertical. No, I think it is vertical here. But either way, anything that I would put here would interfere with that land value to develop a C-top without a gift. So I'm going to hold off on that for a while. And then for now, let's build one more police department. And hopefully that'll help with the crime we've got all around up here. And when I was a kid, I always would place police departments next to banks or casinos, because I always thought the crime was like localized, not a general thing for the whole city as it is. But okay, so we got zone demand back up to the max with all the zone levels perfectly balanced. We are now prepared, we're almost prepared to fast forward, but hold on. Let's max out these industrial zones. One of them is still at level 3, I believe. And you know when you've played too much SimCity, when you can eyeball what level every zone is of every class. Yep, that's a 3 on the bottom there. I want to get that to finish up, and then we'll fast forward until I get the money to build a stadium. I may also want to build another police department before we get enough money to build the stadium. But yeah, this is about as good as it gets for revenue generation on medium difficulty. And yeah, you see, we're already getting pretty decent funding from the taxes there. Not bad. On hard difficulty, this process would probably take decades, not to mention hundreds of years, to fully build a city. Okay, so let's get another police department. I think I want it to be right over here. Let me double check that for a moment. Even though, yeah, that's it. Even though that looks like it's really close to the other police department, it's in a much more distant 8x8 region than the other one. So that should be fine the way I have it there. Oh, but I need to power it up and apply transportation before doing any more with that. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to build, you know what, why don't we just do it now? Build more rails to connect all the way around here. Yeah, that'll serve me well for building a lot more residential zones in the upcoming years. So now at this point, since I don't have anything that I really need to change anymore, there's still going to be a little crime up here, and ideally I'd put a police department right there, because of the pollution reducing the land value that increases the crime. And that's kind of spilling over here a little bit, but as you can see, it's not really hurting my C-tops there because I got the gifts. But I would like to remove the crime eventually. But I don't want to put a police department there right now, because if I did that, then it would interfere with the other C-top development that I was talking about there. So now, let's see. Okay, we're on the fastest speed. Why don't we just auto-budget our way until we get up to about 3,000? And then I can slow things down when I need to. What do you mean pollution's really high? It's way over there. Shouldn't it be going off? Well, it's not that close to the edge, but close enough. I mean, I'm trying to send my pollution to another city, let them deal with the problem. I wonder if that's like a thing in newer SimCity games. Like, I know, like at least in SimCity 2000, you can connect your city to another one if you put a road or rail on the edge there. But I don't think that really did anything. But then again, I don't know the intricate mechanics, and I have not played that game since 2000, probably. Played it on the Macintosh back in the day, but okay, now, yeah, we're getting pretty close, so let's continue fast-forwarding there. And by the way, this city will be the final city that I plan to develop for this LP, at least before starting another project. I mean, I have some other ideas that I could do for building cities. Maybe I'll do them as like a side LP sort of thing, but it'll just be a continuation of this one, of this LP. But I mean, this will be the last city, at least for now. I do want to get back to JRPGs and get things moving. Okay, so now we have enough money to build a stadium, but there might be a problem. Someone was asking me, H.C. Bailey, why don't you build a domed stadium for your city? And, well, the problem, well, there's two problems. One, domed stadiums don't count as a valid destination. So, I mean, that's not really important, but they don't. Open stadiums do, like this one. But I can't seem to make a dome stadium happen. This is where I want to put one eventually. My thought was that dome stadiums will only be built if it's during the winter. But that doesn't seem to apply to January. So why don't we wait a little bit, like go into February or something. Still an open stadium. I don't know why that's reacting that way. Come to think of it, I don't think anyone completely understands how the game chooses between an open or a closed stadium. So like I said, I thought it was a change of seasons sort of thing, but apparently not. I can't get a dome stadium to spawn here. If you know how to do it, let me know, viewers, but I do not. I'm pretty sure it's not purely RNG, because if it were, then if I just loaded my save state enough times, I would get a dome stadium eventually, but I'm not. And I don't know why. So if you know why, let me know, viewers. I'd be happy to put a dome stadium in the city for you guys, but I don't know that I can, really. So, unfortunately, I'll just leave it like this for now, and then if people know, let me know, and then I could do that. Another thing that happened to me when I was building the city once was I needed to build 2 more stadiums to unlock a gift, and I just built 2 right next to each other while the game was paused. First one was open, second one was domed. I don't know why. I give up trying to figure it out how exactly that works. Will we ever know? Find out next time on Let's Play SimCity. This is H.C. Bailey, signing off. Have a good day.